headlines. I still have a crush on Megan Rapinoe, and no, a restraining order has not yet been filed.
Yeah, we're going to see if that changes by the end of this show. It could be here sooner than we think. Which brings us to Kawhi Leonard, whose run with the Clippers is going to be a lot shorter than we thought, at least to start, because Kawhi signed a 3-year deal with the Clippers. That is first reported by The Athletic and confirmed by ESPN. It's really a guaranteed 2-year contract with a 1-year player option. The price tag in total, $103.1 million if he stays for all 3. Stephen A. Smith on PTI on what this does for Kawhi and the Clippers.
First of all, understand what Kawhi Leonard is doing here. By getting a 2-year deal with an out after that, you'll have 10 years in the league, thus making you eligible for the supermax that you're looking for in a couple of years or so. Plus, it puts the Clippers under the gun. Just because you got me and because you have Paul George does not give you a license to take us for granted and don't consistently go about the business of keeping a team around us. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are in the same building, in the same city, the Staples Center. They're going to be competing for championships. Don't leave us hanging. We need all the help that we can get. Don't forget about us.
All right, if Kawhi does exercise his player option, it would mean both he and Paul George would be free agents in 2021. And you heard Stephen A. touch on the Supermax for Leonard. So Bobby Marks, our ESPN NBA front office insider, he tweeted this yesterday, tracking Leonard's moves out of San Antonio to Toronto, out of Toronto to Los Angeles. Because of those changes, Kawhi has left $118 million on the table.
The NCAA says North Carolina State's former assistant basketball coach provided payment and benefits in the recruitment of Dennis Smith Jr., and it has charged the university with 4 violations, 2 of which are top-level charges. Now, this goes back to 2014 through 2017, in which Orlando Early is accused of providing Smith with more than $46,000 in benefits. NC State now has 90 days to respond.
Albert Haynesworth needs a kidney. The former All-Pro defensive lineman made public his plight in an Instagram post yesterday, saying that he is, quote-unquote, in dire need of a kidney after one of his failed on July 7th. Haynesworth was a first-team All-Pro with the Titans in 07 and 08. He last played in the NFL in 2011, and he posted ways to help on his Instagram page.
So robots are just taking over. Just see the Atlantic League for proof of this, because robot umpires made their debut in the league's All-Star game. So here's the deal. There was the human who was back behind the plate, but he was like just the messenger because he wore an earpiece connected to his phone, like very Secret Service style, and just relayed the robot's calls, which is actually a computer system that uses Doppler radar. See, the human was back there because he was also there to overrule the robot in case he made some sort of like terribly obvious, just egregious call, because a real umpire would never do that.
Never, no. But would robot umpires ever put out a country western album like Joe West? Something you have to think about. Also, please don't create robot kid coaches.
No, because that would just ruin things for the Kalamazoo Growlers, because they have the 6-year-old coach, Coach Drake, who has a bit of a temper. Mountain visits, words of encouragement, perhaps, cannot confirm nor deny. Wait, then when he releases the players, watch for it. We're tapping the backsides. And then I think there's also like some stomping of the feet, maybe tip of the hat. I don't know why he's coaching the Kalamazoo Growlers, but he's cute.
That was great. It was like a duck, duck, goose when he pat everybody on the backside. And then
so that was the best video from yesterday. But what about the best dressed or worst dressed from the ESPYs?
Well, I think
fashion.
Odell Beckham Jr. has worst dress covered. What is this?
I don't know.
What is this? I want to wear a fanny pack as a shirt or a vest.
National Geographic? Are you camping?
Like one of those sympathy vests that guys wear to simulate pregnancy.
How about he's going fly fishing?
It's like a photographer's vest for a war correspondent.
No, wait. One of those protective covers you wear when you get x-rays at the dentist's office.
It's like the picture of the faceless cartoon in the weight loss commercial that shows you where the medicine trims your problem areas. Like here.
What about best dressed?
It could be anybody.
Could be anybody.
Brooks Koepka looked great last night.
So did his wife. Did you see those two?
Who's that?
Sierra.
Oh, and Russell Wilson?
Oh, and Russell Wilson, too.
Yeah, Russell Wilson was dressed great. The hair was getting a lot of attention.
If I had gone with Megan...
We have a show to do. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. Wilbot has abandoned me, so I've decided to give a big break to a shy kid. Please help me welcome from First Take, from ESPN Radio, SportsCenter, and General Hospital, Mr. Stephen A. Smith.
How
It was so great. I saw you on General Hospital, and within the hour, it was so great to see that.
Thank you.
We begin today with a report from The Athletic that says Kawhi Leonard has signed only a 2-year deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. And this means that after 2 years there, both Kawhi and Paul George are free to go wherever their hearts wander. Stephen, this sort of feels like a rental to me. Does it change your assessment of the chance the Clippers are taking?
Not at all. Not at all. They had to take this chance. First of all, understand what Kawhi Leonard is doing here. By getting a 2-year deal with an out after that, you'll have 10 years in the league, thus making you eligible for the supermax that you're looking for in a couple of years or so. Plus, it puts the Clippers under the gun. Just because you got me and because you have Paul George does not give you a license to take us for granted and don't consistently go about the business of keeping a team around us. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are in the same building, in the same city, the Staples Center. They're going to be competing for championships. Don't leave us hanging. We need all the help that we can get. Don't forget about us.
So would you agree with me that the Clippers' position was, if he stays in Toronto, okay, but he can't go to the Lakers. He can't come to this building and wear the purple. Because we're dead at that point.
They would have returned to the dark ages.
So what this thing basically says to me, the 2-year deal is interesting to me in this regard, because I think that the NBA has changed radically and recently. That it is a win-now league. And if you don't win now, you go somewhere else, you reassemble like amoebas. You know, you find the sweet spot to win right now. I don't know that other sports are like that.
Well, you're probably right, but here's the key to recognize as it pertains to the Clippers. You can't return to the dark ages. Your definition of winning may not necessarily mean a championship. It may mean preventing the Lakers from winning a championship. It may be making sure that you're just as relevant in the championship equation as the Los Angeles Lakers, so you could go about the business of battling Tinseltown for the love. Even though Laker Nation is Laker Nation, you still have to be relevant when you got the richest owner, a future Hall of Fame coach, and arguably the greatest executive in the history of the sport as the billionaire owner's right-hand man.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, I mean, but I look at this and I go, that something happened recently, within the last 6 or 7 years. LeBron James found the magic door, opened the door. Now he's like the Pied Piper. People now realize, players now realize, we don't have to sign forever and ever and ever. We can get out when we want to. We can go play with somebody we want to, because winning a championship in this league actually seems more important to legacy than winning in another league.
Yeah, the elite stars feel that way. Everybody else better watch themselves. They don't have that kind of cash yet.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Obviously, let's move on. Despite only 2 home runs being hit in last night's All-Star game, the home run is still the biggest story in Major League Baseball. But according to Commissioner Rob Manfred, we should not believe this is a good thing in the eyes of baseball owners. In fact, he said the owners are not happy with more home runs. And yesterday, baseball called in Justin Verlander to let him know they are not altering the ball on purpose, which Verlander emphatically claimed. Tony, who should we believe on all of this, Verlander or Manfred?
Well, I'm going to believe Manfred on a couple of things. I'm going to believe Manfred on the notion that there's no secret document that baseball ordered in some nefarious way for baseballs to be juiced, even though the result of whatever tinkering happened is that the baseballs are flying out. And I'm going to believe him that owners may not want this for this reason. Attendance is down the last 2 years when you've had the most home runs. So it is not necessarily bringing people to the television and not necessarily bringing people to the gate. I think the best thing in this, actually, is calling Verlander in what seemed to be a spirit of cooperation. I mean, not insulting him, and say, here, this is what we're doing here.
Am I allowed to say that you're lying, but without calling you a liar? Because that's what I believe about the commissioner right now. I'm not calling Rob Manfred, who I respect, a liar. But I do think he is telling us a large fib here. First of all, let's understand something here. Back in 1994, when the World Series was canceled, what helped resurrect the sport of Major League Baseball? Home runs. Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. This is before he forgot to show. This is before he remembered to show up on Capitol Hill and brought an interpreter because he forgot suddenly how to speak the English language. Okay. The bottom line is this: everybody loves the long ball. We understand that the long ball helped resurrect baseball. You go to the ballpark hoping to see home runs. Don't tell me that the owners don't care about the home runs when it has been proven that home runs sell, and we know they care about their money as much as anything else.
The attendance is down in the last 2 years because the ball isn't in play as much. Because it's either a strikeout or a home run. Are you not at all moved by the fact that when the greatest players in baseball, current baseball players, were out there last night, there were only 2 home runs, not 10, and that American League pitchers struck out 16 National League batters? So, I mean, to me, when you get to the playoffs, or when you get to the best, that defense, which is pitching, defense still works, and you don't hit it out all
Well,
the
you
time.
did ask a question there, and I'll answer it. No, I am not moved. I am not moved by that, Tony.
I was.
All right.
The head of the Major League Baseball Players Association, Tony Clark, spoke before the All-Star game in a passionate plea for the nationwide fame of Mookie Betts. Clark said, quote, Mookie should be a household name. Mookie should be a one-name guy. You say Ronaldo, you say Messi, you say Mookie. You should know who Mookie is, and outside of the baseball world, I don't know how many do, unquote. Stephen, is Clark right that baseball is failing in its marketing of Mookie Betts?
He's wrong, and I say that emphatically. It's not the fault of Major League Baseball. It's the fault of the players. Once again, you have a problem with Major League Baseball players today's unwillingness to matriculate to the modern-day era. The fact of the matter is we have the advent of social media and beyond. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of this other stuff that you might not care too much about, Tony. Unfortunately, I've been forced to. Here's the thing. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. But here's the reality of the situation. You have to go about the business, particularly when you play 162 games a year, when people can fall asleep and ignore you for months and still come back to life, and there's still about 50 games to play. You have to do something to further ingratiate yourself with the fan base. Major League Baseball players don't care. Unlike any other sport, they hold on for dear life to the tradition of the sport, to doing things in an old school manner, and as a result, they don't care what the fans want. At least that's how they come across. So when you talk about Major League Baseball, who has definitely made a concerted effort to ingratiate themselves with the younger generation because they feel like that, you know, their core audience is older than the audience is for the NBA, the audience is for the NFL. Major League Baseball recognized a long time ago they needed to do something about it. The players have said, we don't give a damn, and that's their problem.
So this is, in a rare moment on this show, I'm going to agree completely. If Tony Clark has a problem with this, Tony Clark, do your job.
That's right.
You're the head of the Players Association.
That's right.
Make the players do this. And by the way, if you're going to come out to an American audience and you're going to say he's a one-name guy and you're going to compare him to European soccer players, that's ridiculous. Here are the one-name people in American sports. They're NBA stars and NFL quarterbacks.
That's right.
That's who they are right now. Mike Trout's the greatest player in the world, and nobody knows what Mike Trout looks like.
That's right.
And Aaron Rodgers, who wears a helmet, everybody knows who he is. And Tom Brady wears a helmet, they know who he is. So if you want people to sign lucrative contracts for endorsements, get your players to want to do it.
That's right. How you going to sign somebody for $400+ million, but then don't force him to sell the sport?
Come on.
My goodness, you got to be kidding me. Let us move
Aren't
on.
we supposed to not agree? That was great.
This is not first take.
Okay.
It's all right for us to be brothers. There ain't no question about that. Here's the latest news out of the Brooklyn Nets camp. Nets coach Kenny Atkinson had this to say about what to expect from his relationship with Kyrie Irving. Quote, we play a system I don't imagine changing a ton. You'll have to ask him that. I think that's part of the reason he was interested in coming here. Our style of play. I think we'll come to a meeting of the minds between me and him and how that works within the group. Tony, based on these words, are you confident that Coach Atkinson and Kyrie Irving will come to a meeting of the minds?
Here's what I'm more confident in. That the first guy fired is not going to be Kyrie Irving, it's going to be Kenny Atkinson. Now, I want to like Kenny Atkinson.
Right.
He's a Long Island boy.
Right.
I mean, I want him to do very well. It's hard to coach Kyrie Irving. A lot of people have found that. It's hard to coach Kevin Durant. You bring people like this in and you talk about how your system is real good. They've won championships. Just refresh my memory. How many championships has Atkinson won at this point?
0.
Okay, well, they've won championships. So when you take this position, which sounds like it's my system, and if you don't like it, what are you doing here? I don't know that's the right way to go.
Huge mistake on Atkinson's part, and here's why. Leading up to Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant elected to land in Brooklyn, the news was, and I reported on this, the two guys that the Knicks, the Nets, everybody was willing to take by themselves was Kevin Durant or Kawhi Leonard. If you wanted Kyrie Irving, if you wanted Kemba Walker, it would be in concert with one of those guys joining them, okay? So by Atkinson saying what he just said, essentially what he said is, look, you ain't the creme de la creme. You ain't the prize that we ultimately wanted. It was Kevin Durant, because you didn't see him utter these words about Kevin Durant. Now, Kevin Durant is home in bed somewhere with his leg laid up, because he's got the
That's right,
Achilles heel.
right.
You didn't see him utter a challenging word in Kevin Durant's direction. Why? Because he's truly the franchise player. Kyrie Irving is a show. He's a special, special talent, make no mistake about it. But coming off the year that he had in Boston, there are some questions about him as a leader. There's some questions as whether or not you want him to be a face of a franchise. And Kenny Atkinson essentially went about the business of publicly admitting that before this man even showed up to training camp. That is not smart because remember, Kyrie is Kevin Durant's boy. And if you alienate Kyrie Irving prematurely, you have alienated Kevin Durant prematurely, which the Nets should not want to do.
That's a terrible prejudice
Sure.
here. I'm not rooting against the Nets. And I love the Nets because I was there at the birth of the Nets on Long Island. When they had Rick Barry and they later had Julius Erving, they had Billy Pauls, the Whopper, if you remember him.
Yeah.
And I just think that